Hi everybody, welcome back to the Manifold channel. We had some user letters come in from viewers asking about our last video where we showed how to create infrared imagery for using NAIP 4-band images. And the question was, well, okay, you guys started the video by importing the image into Viewer. Suppose you just wanted to link it and leave the actual data in the original TIFF file. Can you do that? And the answer is yes. We're using Manifold Viewer here, which is the free edition of Manifold Release 9. It's a read-only edition. So instead of importing the file, let's link it. Let's File, Link. And here's the TIFF file. It's a 446 megabyte file. That's about, what does that say in the pop-up? It's 9,400 by about 12,000 pixels. So it's a big file. We click Link, and Manifold links it instantly. The first time we open it, it's going to think and it's going to bring some parts of that image into cache, but it's still linked read-only. We can see that it's linked read-only because this icon right there, the little lock icon, indicates that this data source here is read-only. We can't change anything in it. In this case, that's because we're using Manifold Viewer, which is a read-only system. Let's alt-click on the title bar there to so we can undock that window, and let's resize it a bit. Let's make it about that size, and control-click here to zoom to fit. Okay, let's leave it about like that. And even though this is a read-only image, we can still style it. We can click on the Contents pane and choose the Style panel. So, for example, from the previous video that we did on NAIP images, we know that the 4 bands are brought in as red, green, blue, and alpha. This actual channel 3 is not really alpha transparency. It's just brought in that way because most TIFF images that are 4 bands use the 4th band for alpha transparency. It really is the infrared channel. So if we want to see this image in natural color, we just want to use the red, green, and blue bands, and we want to turn this channel off. I double-click on the channel 3 and I change it to value and leave it as a value of 0. I click Update Style, and now we see it in natural color. One of the coolest things that we can do in Viewer is in fact, all Manifold products, Release 9 for example, we can right-click on this and choose Copy, and then click down here and choose Paste. And I've just made a copy of that image. This image here, if we look at the properties, it actually takes its table from the data source here. So this is an image which is kind of like a container for what we want to look at. We can double-click it open, and we see that it's an exact copy of that. Let's alt-click on that to undock it, and let's resize it to about the same size. And you know, we can zoom in here however we like. Click back. Let's zoom into this area right around here, and let's play around with that area. And if we want to synchronize this image to that one, we can click here to put the focus there, and then right here choose Windows and choose number 2, and it'll sync to that same view. This image here we can style independently of that one, even though it takes its data from the same table. For example, we can make this a classic colored infrared image, a so-called CIR image, by using the channel assignments. Change this one, double-click into that to change it to channel 3. Double-click into that, change it to channel 2. Double-click into this one to double-click into that one to change it to channel 1. Click Update Style, and that's that classic infrared presentation. If we like, we can make other copies. We can copy that and paste it. Now we have an image that ends with the number 3. That's yet a different image. There it is right there. We can either pan and zoom that independently. If we like, we can let's synchronize it to the same as that one by choosing here, Windows, number 2, and now it's synchronized to that. Let's use a different color assignment on this one. Using the infrared channel for red is infrared data band for red is the traditional way of creating a colored infrared image. But we don't have to do it that way. We could use in this one we'll use the infrared channel for the blue image, and we'll leave the red as channel 2, which is the regular red, and we'll leave green as channel 1. That's a different coloring. This is a different false color image that just happens to use the infrared as to accentuate blue. By tradition, this arrangement here, where the infrared channel is used for red, red is used for green, and green is used for blue, is a so-called classic CIR, color infrared arrangement. And if we like, we can do all sorts of wild stuff. For example, let's work with this image here. I'm going to turn off the original image, and let's just work with these two. This is number 2 and that's number 3. This one I'm going to restore back to natural color with a single click by clicking BGR. Click Update Style. There it is. And let's have fun with this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the infrared channel in all 3 images, all 3 output channels. So turn that to channel 3 for infrared, turn that to channel 3 for infrared, and that creates a grayscale composite image. If I like, I can change the contrast on that, but I'm going to do something a little bit different, something a little bit weirder, even weirder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Manifold to pretend this is a single channel image using channel 3. And now I can color it as if it was a palette image. So for example, let's use equal intervals with 5 breaks, and we'll color it with the Color Brewer palette. We'll use the so-called spectral palette. I've got to find it down here off the screen. There it is. If I click Update Style, we get that effect right there. And if I like, I can do hill shading on that. So let's use hill shading, and I'll use a Z-scale of 0.01. I think should be about right. Now let's make it 0.1. Let's make it even a real strong hill shade. Yeah, there you go. That's wild. And let's zoom in a little bit closer here, about like that. And this one, let's zoom to match that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer, and I'm going to put this layer on top of this layer here. Different windows in Manifold can have multiple layers. So I'm layering this color palletized image, which is hill shaded, that's made up of infrared, on top of the natural scale one, and so I can a natural colored one, and so I can see the natural colored one here in the contents pane. I'm going to go to the layers pane, and I'm going to make this layer 10% transparent. Now let's make it 20% transparent. Ah, heck, let's make it 30% transparent. Let's go for the gusto here. And the upper layer is this image right here, which is the hill shaded palette colorized infrared channel, and that's being shown on top of the natural color image. I can turn off that upper layer so you can see the natural color image. There you can see what happens. It's a subtle effect, but it brings out some more of the emphasis and things like these real-like lines. And it seems to give a bit more definition to those trees. And it also brings out a little bit more detail in here. This is kind of an example of using a synthetically colored image and hill-shaded image to get an effect that's similar to pan sharpening, where you use a high-resolution panchromatic band to sharpen up a lower resolution color image. We see that on the left. We can also play with the underlying image by using the style pane for that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select these channels, and I'm going to click auto contrast, and let's dial up the contrast so it's medium contrast to see what's done. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, and right click auto contrast to medium contrast, and now click update style, and you can see that makes for a more contrasty image there. And so now I'll put that over top, and that gives that a good bit more pop than what the original was. And we can see the original one. Let's open that up again to have yet a third pane. This is a good reason, by the way, to have multiple monitors in your GIS system, because when you have multiple monitors, you can have many of these windows open. You can move them around as you like. And what we see here is this is the original image seen in natural color. It's not been, the contrast hasn't been adjusted or anything like that. This is an image that consists of 2 layers. The lower image, turn the upper one off, is the natural color image that has had improved contrast. The upper layer is what was it, a 30% opaque version of this guy right here, which is a move that out of the way. This guy right here, which which is a palletized version of the infrared channel that also has hill shading applied. So it's pretty cool that we can do all this in a totally free viewer. We're not using Manifold system here. We're using the free Manifold viewer. Anybody can download viewer. There's no need to register. There's no charge. It never times out. There's no advertising. There's no nagware. It doesn't ask for donations, none of that stuff. And as you can see, it opens images very quickly, even reasonably large images in the the half a gigabyte size range can be imported quickly. So that even though viewer is read-only and it won't save this particular arrangement, you need the commercial product release 9 to actually save this particular arrangement. It can still do a whole lot of wonderful stuff. It can still do a whole lot of image manipulation. You can still do things like print screen to grab these images if you want to use them in some sort of publication, copy and paste them into, say, some other graphics editor like Photoshop or GIMP or Paint or whatever. It's an amazing amount of stuff that you can do, all for free in Viewer. And we haven't even gotten into the filters. We can do various filters here, like edge sharpening, pan sharpening, and all that other stuff using GPU parallelism. So I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. Thanks for watching, and goodbye from the Manifold channel. Well, that was fun. If you want to see more, visit us at www.manifold.net. As always, Manifold delivers the world's most advanced, highest quality spatial products for GIS and DBMS at a low price that you can afford. Once again, that's manifold.net. See you soon.